Okay, you downloaded the game, right? Cool. Maybe you had a little time to take a look to the rules? Yes? No? No problem. I'm here to help you. Welcome back on the Ambient channel. As I told you in my last video, this is the very first episode of a mini-series dedicated to the game mechanics of Dungeon Tales, Dark Fantasy Adventures. My own game system, my own dungeon crawler game with a very strong old school RPG vibe. During the design of this game system, I took a lot of inspiration from other great games, great titles from the past, and also from some new ones that I really love, that I really enjoy. So the concept back to the game, it's really simple. This is a dungeon crawler that if you want, you can play also as role-play game. I don't know if you never heard about a British game back from the 90s that is called the Warhammer Quest. I don't know. I heard about, but yeah, probably I think it's out of stock right now in the original version. Maybe you can find it for a few bucks on the web. Jokes apart, Warhammer Quest 95, it was one of the very hardcore inspiration for me. I love the idea that after a game session with your friends, you can also go ahead with the story of the characters using some random tables, some generators and stuff like this that helps to create an entire world of gaming and of adventures, kind of, sort of roleplay game. In Dungeon Tales Dark Fantasy Adventures, to me, action points are really, really important. I consider action points the perfect bond between a dungeon crawler and a roleplay game, because during the activation phase of a character, you will know exactly how many action it can do. You can manage the resources of your character, and it's very useful, especially in a game like this where you need to have a very clear and precise idea about how your character move on the game grid, or how it can interact with enemies or other characters or allies, or with the ambience around him. So yes, action points are really, really important. Another thing that I wanna put under your attention is the action dice. As you know, in the game we have 3 game modes plus one that I promised you I will explain you in the next videos. So we have 3 games mode that are solo game mode, cooperative game mode, and of course classic game mode with a tail master, a dungeon master. So basing on the game mode that you will choose, you will have different dices that you will roll during the activation phase of the monsters, of the enemies, or in order to discover how difficult could be to have success during a test, a check, So yes, it's another very important mechanic. The action dices are D10 for the solo mode, D12 for the cooperative mode, and D20 for the classic mode. Please remember that if you play in the classic mode, the Tail Master will decide if you want to use or not the D20 in a specific situation. Maybe you can decide to use different dice. He is in charge. He has the power, if you understand what I mean. For this specific tutorial video about the game, I choose one of the 6 pre-generated characters that you will find in the PDF. I'm talking about Yorick, the dwarf. I love dwarfs. I'm a dwarf guy. I'm a big guy, but I'm deep inside myself. There is a big dwarf that is waiting to jump in the dungeon and destroy and smashing everything and discovering ancient treasures. So yeah, I'm a dwarf. So I choose Yorick the dwarf. Yorick is, to me, it's the perfect character in order to enter in the game mechanics and discover how it works, the basic rules of the game. Yorick is a dwarf, is a mercenary that actually is very skilled, very talented in using armors and weapons. He's not very good using magic or using rituals. He's not very good in, in stealth action, but It's a very, very cool character. So, yes, let's go with Yorick. Yorick is approaching to the dungeon. In the complete rulebook, you will find a lot of tips and suggestions about how to handle the game and how to speed up a few parts of the game system. For example, one of the tips that I want to give you here right now as a preview of what you will find in the rulebook, it's during the activation phase of your character, it's really helpful to use a D6 in order to take a track, take note of the action points that you have and the action points that you will save for the next round. I used to place the dice near to the miniature, and if you play in pen and paper, well, you can just tracking or using the dice near to the token of your character. It's the same. So I will place the dice near to the miniature. Remember that the maximum number of action points that you can have is 6, but of course it depends about several things. Maybe can be a little bit more if you have magic items, or you are under effect of spells, or if the Tail Master have something in mind, so you think that you can have more action points. But the basic rule is you have 6 action points at maximum. In our case, Yorick have 5 action points, so we'll place the dice near to him, and that's it. We are ready to start. Yorick have 4 squares as movement, so he spent 1 action point. Now he have 4 action points, and he moved 4 squares. Once he arrived in the room, he take a look around. Maybe you wanna search in the room or investigate about what's inside the room. Well, for this specific tutorial, I set a little dungeon setting in order to give you a better idea about how the mechanics works. Plus, I would like to show you what I produce for the game and for my shop. That is a modular dungeon system, resin casted, full hand painted, that you will find in my eShop on the box description below. Yes, I suggest you take a look if you're looking for some really cool product that maybe can help you for your dungeon crawler or roleplay game, mostly for Dungeon Tales. So yes, Yorick entered in the room, and of course I already set all the dungeon in order to have a clear idea about what happened. But usually you will generate everything about the dungeon: doors, ambience, illumination, the atmosphere, what your character feeling when they enter in the ambience. Everything, it will be generated randomly with a procedure system using random charts, random tables, rolling rivers and rivers of dice, because I love dice. So yes, this game is a rolling machine. You know what I mean? You will roll tons of dice on tons of charts, but trust me, it will not be so stressful, because sometimes rolling on charts all the time for everything, it could be a little bit stressful or a little bit annoying. No, trust me, you will have fun doing this, because the mechanics are very light and very fluid, so you will be very comfortable rolling dice on the charts and discovering what's next in the environment where you are entering. So let's back to Yorick. Yorick entered in the room. He discovered, just taking a look, he discovered that there is a couple of braziers on the side of the entrance, and a couple of big statues with small lanterns in their hands. And the illumination is quite good. So please remember that in this game, illumination is so important. We will see better in the next. So Yorick entered in the room, he take looks around, and he decide to investigate a little bit more about the brazier. He want to know for how long they are on. I mean, the fire burns. So how he can do that? It's simple. So in this specific case, if we will check the chart, he will discover that in order to do an investigation action, he needs to roll on his reason. Reason attribute is the key for this action. So Yorick grab his action dice, that is the D10, because he's playing in the solo mode, roll the D10, and he discover the difficulty level, it's normal. So it means that if you want to have success in this action, you need to do more than 10 on 10 or more on a D8. So how is it possible? Well, the game mechanics have a specific rule that is called critical success. Well, the critical success, it means that if you obtain the maximum value on the attribute dice, on the dice that you are rolling, you will re-roll the dice and you will add the new result to the previous one. In this way, you'll be able to pass the test, the check, and of course, in other situations, you'll be able to hit very well-defensed enemies, or doing amazing and incredible action that are almost impossible. Let's assume that Yorick failed the test. So yes, the fire burning, he don't have any idea about for how long, and the only thing that he can do is using one of his torches that he have in the backpack and light the torch. Because in this way he will save time, he will save turns, he will save action points for the next rounds. He has several options. He can go on the right through a door, or he can go on the left in the dark corridor, but now he has a torch, or he can go ahead in the middle of the statues, but maybe there is a trap, I don't know. But all the time that you enter in a new room, in a new environment, you have to roll on the event chart, and you will check, you will see with your eyes if something happened, if there is encounters, if there is secret passages, or if there is something that can, that can change the actual situation. Please remember that the atmosphere of the dungeon can change during the exploration. Maybe you will enter with a very creepy atmosphere that it will impact the actions of your character, or the evolving of the story. But maybe entering in another room, it will change the atmosphere, and you will find in a completely different situation. Sometimes the atmosphere, sometimes, quite often, the atmosphere of the dungeon is not positive for your characters. Sometimes happens that it's positive. I mean, that can help in some way your character. So you have to use this advantage, or you have to fight against this disadvantage when it happens, because it's really important. So the dungeon atmosphere, it's another very important thing about the game mechanics. Yorick lights the torch with the fire of the brazier and move on in the room. You roll on the chart in order to see if in the room there is something, but it's empty, nobody's in the room. He enters in the dark corridor using the torch, lighting the corridor, and discovering that at the end of the corridor there's a double door. So he moved other 4 squares, losing 1 more action point, and he arrived in front of the door. When he arrived in front of the door, he is absolutely amazed about the structure of the door, because rolling on the door chart, he discovered that the door have metal hinge, and it's reinforced, it's very strong. It's kind of difficult or impossible to crash the doors and move over. He needs to pick lock, or he needs a key if the door is locked. So the only thing that he can do right now is check the door and see if it's locked or not, if there is a trap or not. Delving in a dungeon by yourself, I don't think it's a really good idea, but yeah, of course, it's up to you. But, I suggest you to go in the dungeon, go in the adventures, delving in the darkness with some allies, with some other characters, or some henchmen, hirelings. It's not just because the combat. Yeah, you will have a lot of fight against monsters and enemies, but it's not the most important things in this game. The most important things is the exploration of the dungeons, of the ambience, of the environment that you will generate with your game system. And sometimes some situation could be so hard, too difficult, and maybe you will need a hand. This is why an hireling or a henchman or a ally, or what, call him how you want, someone beside you, it's really important, because they will help you to obtain a success in this absurd or ultra difficult test. How it works. Just consider that in front of the door, in this case, you have just 2 spaces. So the maximum number of character allies or whatever that can cooperate are 2. If the door was placed in the other side, the maximum number of characters that can cooperate is 4, because 2 are in front of the door and 2 on the side. What it means cooperate, what is the advantage in order to have a cooperation between characters and allies? Well, it's simple. Any character or ally that will cooperate in the action will reduce of 1 the difficulty level of the test. Or, if you want, it can give you advantage on the roll. So, as you can see, it's quite important and it's quite useful. But any character, including your character, that will cooperate in the action, no matter how many action points he have in his store, well, he consumes any single action point. All the activation phase of this character and allies is complete, is considered done. Yeah, you will have success in the test, but you know, if there is an enemy back to the door, you will open the door, the enemy will attack you, and you don't have any action points to defend yourself. Saving action points in the adversary phase is so important, and we will talk about this in the next episode, where we'll discover together how it works, the combat system. Let's talking about the next episode in order to give an idea about what we will talk in the next. Combat system, the oracle, the spell casting system, and of course an overview, a light overview about the complete rulebook, that it will include a lot of different options for your character, because as I told you in my introduction video, well, this game is really modular. You will choose how to play this game. You will choose which is the rule that you prefer to use, or if you want to keep it simple, or if you want to make it really detailed, so complicated. I mean, it depends about your game style, and you'll be able to decide by yourself or with your friends. And yes, with this game engine, because I consider it a game engine, this game engine, you'll be able to create your gaming world, your adventure, your dungeon, and not just your dungeon, but also an entire world of game. And this is the main goal of Dungeon Tales Dark Fantasy Adventure. So please remember, give me time. I will explain you everything step by step in the next video. I don't want to give you a lot of information altogether right now because there's too much stuff. I don't want to make a long video, so it's perfect. Yeah, that's it. For this week it's all. So I really hope that you enjoyed the video. I really hope that you enjoyed Dungeon Tales. And please leave comments in the box below. Hit the like button. Please share the PDF with your game community or with your gaming group, with your friends. Please help me to spread the word about Dungeon Tales, about our project. And don't forget to join the Facebook community, because we need of you. We need all of you guys. You know, the community is, I think it's the most important thing back to this project, because with the community we can create and we can fix things about the game. So I wish you good luck with your first adventure with Dungeon Tales, and I see you in the next. Ciao!